thank everyone for being here and for all your efforts. But joining us, a number of our colleagues with us today, we have Senator John Brooks. Assemblyman Mike Fitzpatrick is with us. Assemblywoman Christine Pellegrino. Assemblyman Anthony D'Urso. We're joined by our Secretary of State, Rosanna Rosado. Thank you, Madam Secretary, for being here on Long Island today. My colleagues and partners in the Suffolk County Legislature, our presiding officer, Dwayne Gregory, Minority Leader Kevin McCaffrey, Legislator William Spencer, and Legislator Kate Browning for a few more hours. Thank you, Kate. We're also joined by a couple of new elected officials who are right now supervisor-elects, but in a few hours will just be known as supervisors. First, our great friend from the town of Riverhead, Supervisor-elect Laura Jen Smith. And congratulations. And of course, also breaking and historic grounds, Hempstead Supervisor-elect Laura Gillen. Let's give them both a great round of applause again. We are grateful to be here with our host, Local 25 IBEW. Let's give them a great round of applause. John Guadagno, Kevin Casey, our great partners here. We want to thank all of our friends in labor who are here for the great work that you do each and every day, and for all your efforts on what the governor is talking about here today. And I just want to specifically acknowledge and thank a great, great friend of labor and one of our great representatives in the state. That is the president of the Long Island Federation of Labor, John D'Urso. From the Nassau-Suffolk Building Trades Council, Dick O'Kane. Thank you, Dick, for your leadership. Nick Lamort from CSEA. And I also want to recognize our partner in Suffolk County, Dan Leverler, the president of AME, who is here, and to all of our friends in labor for what you do. We're also joined by the president of LIU, Kim Klein. Thank you, Madam President, for being here. And to all of our guests. So we are gathered here today on New Year's Eve for a very important reason. You know, 2017 has been a interesting year. Let's put it like that. And I can tell you, between Christmas and New Year's this year, which is a time where most people are slowing down and winding down and spending more time with their family and friends. Well, out here in Suffolk County and in Nassau County, and I think in other places around the state and around the country, residents weren't doing that. They were scrambling around trying to figure out whether they should pay their property taxes early. That was a new one for us. Well, that's the way we could have ended 2017, but it will not be, because the governor is here today, and thanks to his leadership, once again delivering for all of us, not only on Long Island, but across New York State, we are going to end 2017 on a positive note and talk about the great leadership and the great things that are happening in the state of New York, thanks to our Governor, Andrew Cuomo. This is great today. This is great news for working families all across Long Island, all across New York. And we need that good news. We need leaders who are fighting for us, for the hardworking, working class and middle class families of Long Island and New York State. And that is what Governor Cuomo has always done. So I am grateful once again that he is here. I'm grateful for his leadership. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 56th governor of the great state of New York, our good friend, our leader, Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Let's thank IBEW very much for letting us use the hall. Let's give them a round of applause. To John Dorso, my good friend, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Dick Kane, thank you for your leadership all year long. My colleagues, for passing the legislation we're going to be speaking about today. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your support. I'll see you in a couple of days now back in Albany. And it's always a pleasure to be with my friend, the county executive, Steve Bellone, who tells me all the time of what kind of great sportsman he is, all the time, whenever I see him. Great outdoorsman, great sportsman. But he does not like the cold, Steve. You see, he made that comment about standing outside and watching the ball go down for New Year's Eve. So I called him yesterday on the way out, because I'm coming out today. I said, how about this? After the event, I'm going to be out there. I don't have to be back until the night. How about we go out and do some bottom fishing? He said, what? I said, yeah, we go out, we'll do some bottom fishing, it's nice. He said, it's really cold out there. I said, no, you dress warm, it's your layers. You know how they always say, layers, you dress in layers, it'll be fine. Let me just check my schedule, I'll call you back. It's the last I heard of him. Steve Bellone, fair weather sportsman. Let's give him a round of applause. He may be a fair weather sportsman, but he is a heck of a county executive. I work with him, and the breadth of what he's doing is really something that is ambitious and shows his great capacity, from the environment, from what he's doing on the economy, what he's doing on housing, what he's doing on transportation. He's playing across the entire field. You know, a lot of people tend to focus in one area and master one area. Unfortunately, life doesn't work that way anymore. You have to be able to address all these different areas. And that's exactly what he's doing, and he's doing a great job. And you have to be able to scramble. You have to be able to make government work like that. You know, you don't get notice anymore. These are crazy days. He got notice that he had to have out tax warrants so people could pay their taxes. Now, this normally takes months to do, and then coordinate with all the local governments. And literally, it was Christmas week. It happened because the president signed the tax bill. The tax bill eliminates the deductibility of property taxes and income taxes, which means next year you would have to pay your property tax and then pay federal taxes on the property tax. So we gave people, I signed an emergency order so people could prepay this year. But that means the county had to figure out all the numbers and get the offices opened. People had to come out of their homes and get online. But Suffolk handled it magnificently well. And people saved thousands of dollars. Literally 20 to 25% of that property tax bill is going to go up next year because of this federal tax plan. So we ended 2017 the way we started it. Crazy. That's it. And 2017 was a heck of a year, as the county executive said, on a number of levels. From the terrorism that we faced, we had 2 terrorist attacks in New York City in 2 months. We never had that before. We have more threats of terrorism that we actually get ahead of and stop, but the frequency is way up. Climate change is more and more of a problem. What we've seen in this state, the abnormal weather patterns, what happened in Florida and Texas, what happened to the people in Puerto Rico, 60% still don't have power. And this nation has really fallen down on its responsibility. In many ways, I think the state of New York has done more for the people of Puerto Rico than the entire federal government has. And I'm proud of it. And one of the big problems in 2017 was the economy and the economic tensions on the middle class and the working families. You read the clips, you read the newspapers, and they say, oh, the economy's doing great. Yeah, the economy's doing great if you are at the top end of the economy. It is doing great. If you're on a surfboard on top of the waves, you're doing great. But if you're not on a surfboard on top of the waves, then the rough sea is drowning you. The middle class are going backwards for 20 years in terms of real wages. What does that mean, real wage? It means what your money was worth 20 years ago, your money is worth less today. 20 years ago, you made $60,000. That was a good income. Today, $60,000, you send one child to college for a year. It is out of control for the middle class and the working families. And what happened 2017, I don't want to get political, because really I want to go fishing. But I have nobody who'll go fishing with me. But 2017, what happened is that middle-class anxiety, that middle-class tension was exploited. And we had politicians who said to the middle class, you're afraid, you're frustrated, you're anxious, you're angry, I'm your guy, I'm going to fix it. And that anger is real. And that anger was looking for a place to go. Look what the federal government did, by the way. They just passed a tax reform plan, right? Middle class, working families, 60% of the benefit goes to the top 1%. 60% of the benefit goes to the top 1%. A tax cut is math. Forget the spin. Forget what they say. Well, they say it goes to the middle class. I don't care what they say. A tax cut is numbers. It's math. Who gets the money? 60% to the top 1%. Well, if the corporation gets a tax cut, then they're going to take their savings and they're going to give it to the workers to raise their wages and say, Merry Christmas, here's a bonus for you. Wouldn't it be nice if life worked like that? If people were that loving and charitable, I get a raise and I say, nah, I don't really want the raise. I'm giving it to Steve. Even though he won't go fishing with me, I'm giving it to Steve. Because I'm a more charitable, loving kind of guy than he is. The corporations are not going to give the 40% tax cut to the middle class. It is not going to happen. The corporations are going to put the money in their pocket. Or they're going to dividend it out, or they're going to buy a house in the south of France, or they're going to buy their shares back, but they're not giving it to the workers. And baloney, because if the federal government wanted to give the money to the workers, you know what they would have done? They would have written it into the law. It's one sentence. The corporations shall pay 50% of the windfall to the workers as higher wages. One sentence. The corporations shall take the windfall and pay 80% of it to the workers. And we could have argued about should the workers get 100% or 80% or 70%. That sentence doesn't exist. All it says is the corporations get a 40% tax break, Merry Christmas, end of story. And the workers get nothing. And this is actually going to make it worse. Because you went to the middle class and you said, I'm there, I'm going to help you, I'm your guy, don't worry, help is on the way, hopes get up, get excited. And then, nothing. Worse. The rich are going to get richer, and by the way, you're on the back of the line again. That's what happened in 2017. Luckily, it's almost over. 2018 is going to be different. Why? Because we learned. 2017, we got knocked on our tuchus. You know what a tuchus is? It's an Italian word. Now I offend the Jewish people and the Italian people. But you know, you get knocked on your tuchus, it changes your perspective. Life looks different when you're laying on the canvas. But we're New Yorkers, we get up, we dust ourselves off, we learn the lesson, we move forward. We learned from 2017, and it's going to be different in 2018. And we're going to start it off the right way in New York, because we do have a real plan to help the middle class in New York. And it's taking effect literally today and tomorrow. First step, create jobs. Why? Because you have to have the jobs for the people to work towards, because the economy is still the train that pulls the engine that pulls the train. You have to have the jobs. We're going to announce in 3 weeks, you still have to come to the State of the State. This state has created more private sector jobs than have ever existed in the history of the state of New York. Over 8 million jobs now exist in New York State. So we have the jobs. Step 2 was getting people the education for the jobs. 50% of the jobs in 5 years are going to require a college education. 50% of the jobs in 5 years. So you have to go to college. The problem is it's too expensive, and if the student takes debt, they start life with a mountain of debt that is suffocating. It's like having a mortgage payment every month, but you don't have the house. It's stifling, and it's a pressure on the middle class. And you want to talk about anxiety for the middle class. It's going to sleep at night and not knowing how you're going to pay your mortgage or how you're going to pay your kid's college tuition. And afraid when the kid is going to walk in the room and say, hey, Pop, hey, Mom, I want to go to college. I got in, here's the letter. And then the parent has to say, how am I supposed to pay? We passed Excelsior scholarships. You get into college, up to $125,000 in income, free tuition from the state of New York. That's how you help the middle class. Third thing we did is we raised the minimum wage. The minimum wage was $9 an hour. The old theory was, well, minimum wage, those are kids who make minimum wage. Oh, really, kids? 40% married or have a child. 40% of the people making minimum wage. Over 50% over 35 years old. They're not kids. Minimum wage is $9. Can you imagine trying to live on $18,000 a year? I mean, how do you do it? I don't even know mathematically how you do it. clothes, food, medical. We said we had to raise the minimum wage. It went from 9 to 10. This year it goes, today, it goes to $11 per hour, and then it goes 12, 13, 14, 15. $15 an hour. We started at 9. 9 is $18,000 a year. 15 is going to be $30,000 a year. You can lead a decent life on $30,000 a year. And today it goes to $11, which is going to make a real difference in people's lives. And that goes into effect today. It's not voluntary. It's not employers can do this if they want. It is the law. And I want to make sure people know that. Third, we cut middle-class taxes. You want to help the middle class? I'll tell you what you do. You cut taxes so they have more money in their pocket. The middle-class tax rate goes down tomorrow from 6.4 to 5.5%, just about a point. And we passed something called paid family leave. Paid family leave. Paid family leave says a job isn't just about a paycheck. And we don't want just a paycheck. A job is about dignity. A job is about honor. A job is about quality of life. And when you don't pay a person a decent living, they can't have a decent life. And what is life, after all? You get to as old as I am, it gets very simple. Life is those special moments. Life is when your child is born, or a family member's child is born. Life is being there when somebody is sick. Life is being there when somebody is passing, and you want to be able to spend time and say thank you and come to peace and come to terms. Those are the moments that make up life. Everything else is noise. You don't even remember at the end of the day where it all went. Life is those moments. Everybody should have the right to live those moments. Everybody should have the right to be there when their spouse is giving birth. Everybody should have the right to be there when their mother or father is sick and needs help. Everybody should have the right to be there when it's getting close to the end and people are scared and alone and they want somebody to hold their hand. Everybody has that right to that level of dignity in their lives, because nothing else matters. And too many people didn't have it, because if you took off, I'll fire you. We fixed that during the Clinton year. Okay, you can go, but I can't pay you. Yeah, but I want to take off 3 weeks to be with my new kid, to help my wife. Fine, no money. But if I have no money, I can't eat. They were trapped because of their economic circumstance in a situation where they couldn't live their life. Paid family leave says up to 8 weeks a year for what I call the special moments, the births, the deaths, the sickness, family member in the armed services. You have up to 8 weeks, 50% pay. Enjoy your life, a dignified life, live life the way it should be lived, and your employer will pay half your pay. That's paid family leave. It's dignity for every human being. So yes, you get a decent salary, but also you're treated with respect and dignity as a human being, because it's more than a paycheck. It's the dignity of a job. And we're restoring dignity. That goes into effect tomorrow. Paid family leave. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But we're going to have a full agenda in 2018. December 3rd, I do the State of the State. I know you're all going to be there. I know John Dorso is going to be there. He told me that personally. Really, he didn't, but now I just shamed him into having to go, which I enjoy. I know that the county executive is going to be there if it's above 65 degrees, so I look forward to that. Fair Weather County Executive, my colleagues will be there. We're going to have a very aggressive agenda because what is going on in this country is not right. And the direction we're headed is not right. And this is not who we are. And we're going to turn it around, and we're going to turn it around in the state of New York, and we're doing it next year. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Governor Cuomo. And I wasn't going to say this, but I think the governor is a little upset that the last time we went fishing together, I actually caught a few more fish than he did. So, thank you to Governor Cuomo. Let's give him another great round of applause for fighting for middle class and working class families all across the state of New York, and really providing an example of leadership for our country. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. Thank you, IBEW. Thank you to all the men and women of labor who are out there working in the cold every day to help build a better future. And Happy New Year's to everyone. God bless you.